I'm fascinated because I feel like you talked me into putting this guy number one a little bit. So I have Jalen Williams number one.
Wait, so are you asking me to make the case for your number one pick?
No, I'm just telling you that, and I want you to explain yourself. Why is he not on your ballot?
I will say I stuck. He's not going to appear on my ballot because I stuck to my guns that I'm
Mhm.
not going to put a second year player on here. But my God, he came so close to, and if I was going to pick it, it just would have been him because it's just like that's how much he's improved. Just the
Yeah,
off the dribble jump shooting, the defense. He might make an all defense team. He's been that good defensively. The passing, the ability to kind of prop up lineups without SGA. I can't say enough good things about. And look, there's more directionality to the way he's attacking. Like there's still that abruptness, but there's more of that deliberation and methodical approach.
yeah. I think the argument is like, yeah, it's definitely an uphill battle because the second year player thing. But I think in his case, he just has become a different type of player, and maybe it's more of a progression than like he transformed because he was, he was improving over the course of last season as a rookie, but just like you watch him now, and he's improved to being a like one of the best 3-point shooters in the league. His volume is not way up there, but he's 43%. And he's scored more fourth quarter points than SGA last I looked, which is like never not going to be insane to
They
me.
should trade SGA and rebuild
Yeah,
around
get
Jacob.
rid of him. It's just that like his offensive game to me is like complete because he's a great spot up 3-point shooter. I mean, maybe he's not a 43% shooter, but I think he's also not like whatever he was last year, 35 or whatever it was. He's going to be a high 30s guy. Off the dribble, he can get to his spot and like shoulder his man off of him for a pull up or a spin and like a turnaround, just like the way that superstars do. Like that's pick the guy you want to compare him to. There's like you hear Kawhi, you hear like some James Harden like shiftiness, like I don't know, but he does like mid range individual shot creation. We need a bucket stuff that superstars do. Awesome finisher, like super sudden, explosive athleticism. And then he guards like real guys. Like he'll guard a lot of like good
Not
forwards,
fake ones? Not
not fake
imaginary?
ones. No, he's not hiding. It's like they're just if this is on a team with like Lou Dort and SGA, there's no shortage of good defenders. And like he's the guy that'll go get Giannis or whatever, or Zion or whatever it is. He's just, I think to me, Williams is now like a two-way star that's going to make a bunch of all-star games and probably some all NBA teams. And like that just was not there last year. Like that level, like, we reward teams that, or we say it's harder to go from 50 to 60 wins than it is from 40 to 50 or whatever. This is the 50 to 60 win jump. Like this is the hardest jump to go from really good starter potentially to like, this guy might be the best player on a really good team someday. So that's my case for him. But then I also, if you don't put him on your ballot because he's a second year guy and like you should get this much better, like I kind of get that. I just think the magnitude of his growth is like more significant than anybody else we're gonna talk about to me.
I think that's fair. I do think Kobe White comes close, which is who I went with. As someone who toggles between this off ball and on ball scoring, he's gotten so much better as an offensive organizer as well. When you're looking at his passing, the defense is still kind of iffy there. I went back and forth on whether I should include him at number one because spoiler alert now, I have Alperen Şengün at number two. I grappled with whether this was a matter of him getting better or opportunity. And I do think it's a combination of both. Like a lot of it is the opportunity, but he got better defensively looking at his positioning. And then you kind of look at his decision making on offense, where we always knew he was a dangerous one-on-one scorer, but now he kind of knows it and he's getting to that mode quicker and he's handling double teams better. And so you factor that in with just the production where he's going to, someone who's averaging over 20 points and can drive the playmaking of your entire offense. And I think what separates him from sort of other big man facilitators is that he can, I don't like the Jokic or the Sabonis comparisons, but like he can jumpstart the offense in so many different ways and from so many different areas of the court. Like it begins as soon as he can grab the rebound, where you can't necessarily say that with a lot of the other playmaking bigs. So he ended up being number two for me, and he does still qualify for anyone who's wondering why. He's going to end up probably under 65 games, but he appeared in 60 before his season-ending injury, and because those 60 games are more than 80% or whatever of his team season at the point, he qualified. So that obscure rule like put him there. He could have won the whole entire thing as far as I'm concerned. I will note, though, my top two picks would have been Scotty at 1 and Jalen Johnson at 2. Neither of them qualified though.
Yeah, I had Scotty at 1 too until the injury knocked him out. I have Kobe White at number 2 for the reasons you said. Like, not sure if this guy is going to be much of anything to like, oh, he's a starting lead guard in the NBA. That's a hard thing to do. I have Jonathan Kuminga at 3. It's a little bit like the Jalen Williams thing where it's like this guy can't stick in the rotation for long stretches, and now I think he's clearly the second. He's clearly the most important long term piece on the Warriors now. If you're envisioning like the post Steph Curry world, he's another guy that like, talking about the Thompsons, like athletically, Kuminga is just on a level that not a lot of guys can get to. I think he's developed a lot more scoring craft. Like he's can score off the dribble in the mid range. He's so quick to the basket, is able to elevate over guys, really good body control. Just like, I think some of this was there. And so this is another case where like finally he got to play and got the confidence from regular minutes to like uncork all this stuff. But like he's not remotely the same guy he was last year. So I think he also like, I don't know that I believe that some of the other guys on my ballot have like, I mean, some of these guys are already sort of higher to begin with, but like I think Kuminga has a star ceiling. And that was not like, that wasn't super obvious until this year.
I push back against the star stuff. I just the consistency with him and just like I still don't kind of understand what he necessarily is on offense, despite the flashes we've seen. And maybe that's a function of the Warriors personnel and how it's shifted in the lineups around him.
I don't think they know yet either. To be fair, like I think what's been true for him from the jump is that he's real sure that he is a number one on ball offensive guy. And I think that's been in the way for him. Like that's been a hindrance to getting opportunities. I don't think the Warriors know yet what they're going to do with him, but it's kind of it is like a Thompson's thing where it's like, he's so athletic. You just got to sort of figure out how this is going to work. But yeah, I think that's fair. I think this, I'm probably biased. I'm not seeing it super clearly. I think he has the capacity to be like a multi-time all-star, like two-way, like wing type guy, but we shall see.
Speaking of superstar ceilings, I have Duncan Robinson at number 3. So it's probably an atypical choice, but when you look at, this is someone who has undergone like another reinvention to where, yes, the shooting and the motion on the perimeter is still there. Now he is playmaking. Now he just has these games where, Duncan Robinson has like 5-6 assists or whatever it is. And it's not just catching the ball and then keeping it moving. It's, oh no, Duncan Robinson put the ball on the floor. He scored inside the arc. No, he was able to leverage that pressure he's putting on into finding the open guy. This is someone who's just like, he was almost exclusively just, no, don't travel inside the arc. Just get up these threes to make that type of improvement. And also this is where maybe I'm being unfair here. And it's, does he deserve to be sort of a comeback player type thing? This is someone who looked like he was going to be a detriment the past year and a half.
That and contract. How are they going to get off this contract?
Right. And now it's like, is this one of the bargain contracts? It helps he's shooting 40% from 3 on over 7 attempts per game, but he's also shooting 57.5% on a career high in 2-point attempts. Again, it's only 3 attempts. He's only at 2.9 assists per game. But again, like I've said, there have just been those games where it's, look, Duncan Robinson has 5 assists. And like, yeah, okay, it came against the Pistons, but still. So this is just someone who has improved so much and added enough layers to his offensive game where I felt comfortable saying, like, we need to recognize that because it's almost, yes, the hardest thing to do is what J-Dub did, or what, when you go from really good player or fringe star to actual stardom. But like, we're talking about, this is Duncan Robinson in year 6, and he was very much billed as this one type of player. Mm-hmm. And now he's just something that's not completely different because the crux of that game is still in place, but he's added a shit ton more. And he provided glimpses of it into the playoffs last year. But now we're through a regular season, and it's, yes, some of this has been born from necessity, but some of it just makes so much fucking sense because now if someone who's so dangerous from beyond the arc can leverage what he's doing as a playmaker, even score at points inside the arc when he has the ball. I'm not even like, just so I could not have forecasted this sort of functional turn from Duncan Robinson. And so maybe that shock is weighing in here. But when you take out Jalen Johnson and Scotty Barnes, and when you look at, I consider Jalen Suggs, and I don't know if he's hitting his threes, but has he expanded enough of his game offensively? There's the full court passing. It would have been nice if Denny Avdia kind of played the way, had more of the volume that he did for most of the season. But it just looking at the crop of talent, I feel like Duncan Robinson's been the most materially measurably different from wire to wire than a lot
Yeah.
of the other choices.
He's not on my ballot, but I will say something. By the time this goes up, I will have filed for BR, giving awards to every team, and I get to like make one up for each team and give it a name. And my award for the Heat is "Where Did That Come From?" award, and it goes to Duncan Robinson, and it's all based on what you're talking about. Of like he's got these ridiculous baseline like Smitty fake spins. He got a Star Thompson really bad. It was one of my favorite highlights this year. Yeah, like this was not a thing he could do before. And so I think if we're not going to just do, maybe this is a good transition into someone we both have on our ballot. He's fourth on yours. He's fifth on mine. It's Tyrese Maxey, who's the betting favorite right now. He seems closer to, and Şengün for me is four. We already talked about him. Maxey feels a little too much like he just got more playing time thing. Which is a direct contrast to Robinson, and a lot of these other guys that we have higher. I think this is why we devalued Maxey. Is it's like these other guys developed new abilities, and Maxey, his numbers are better, but like ultimately, per 100, it's a little better, but true shooting is down, like not so hot without Embiid. He's on this ballot just because I think you sort of have to put him there. But his case is to me different in kind of a meaningful way than a lot of these other guys.
So I agree with you to some extent, but I do think there's a difference in kind of like there's this downshifting part of his game that I don't think he always has. It just lacks a directionality and sometimes a deliberateness when he's not going downhill, to where can he set up your offense from that perspective? But just the jump in usage and the raw numbers without seeing his efficiency being submarined. His case, had he been able to like bring the Sixers to even some semblance of respectability without Joel Embiid, would be a lot stronger. So I don't view him as an outlier on this bout, but I do understand what you're saying, where it does feel like the meat and potatoes of his game doesn't look too much difference, but there is to me enough of a visible difference in the way that he's playing, improvement, or at least if you want to call it diversification in his
Yeah.
game, that I'm comfortable having him in my top four.
I think too, he's a much higher percentage of unassisted baskets this year, which is just like that. I mean, that matters because that does speak to like he's having to do things in a different way. Like he's not being set up. He's not the third guy playing off of, a pick and roll swing to a kick out to like a guy's sprinting at him and he's by him. It's like he's creating more stuff. The efficiency dip is pretty significant to me. It was 60.5% true shooting last year. He's down to like below league average now. But yeah, like that's going to happen with a larger role. He's on my ballot. I should stop talking shit about him, but like, it's not quite the same thing to me. Who's your fifth guy? I'm fascinated to hear you make the case for this guy.
I have Cam Thomas, which is kind of another player that you could say like the Tyrese Maxey jump is, he got an actual role and his scoring skyrocketed, but he has turned into, he's up this 3-point clip. This is someone who has been able to draw fouls despite not getting to the rim at this huge frequency rate. And then I also think that he has, maybe it's incremental or marginal, he's gotten better at making reads as kind of this passer. I don't think there's been enough improvement, at least from what I've seen defensively from him. But when you're looking at his offensive game, I don't think it's ever going to get to the point where he's as well-rounded as a Tyrese Maxey, where he's well-rounded as a Kobe White. I want to make that clear. But he's more well-rounded than he's ever been. And I would take umbrage when people call him that, he's just going to end up being this microwave sixth man type. That might end up being his best role. But like I think will get to a point where he can give you more, like, this looks like someone who could be better than a Lou Williams, markedly better than a Jamal Crawford. I think there's like more of a shiftiness to the way that he's playing and the level of difficulty on his shots now. It's so young. It makes me wonder, okay, like it feels like there's a point where, at one of the three levels, he can improve a great deal. And then what if his passing does hit, or he just gives you a little bit more of the, I don't want to say stout defense, but like if he just gives you some more defensive playmaking. And that, he'll be able to do that better if he does wind up coming off the bench one day. But you're looking at someone who has a usage over 30 with a turnover rate below 10. Like that's just not, the other players that doing that this season are Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Brunson. And so like, I know that he's not passing as much as those guys. That's still really fucking hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think for him, I lean more towards it's just he's just playing more. Like a lot of his per 100, like you are right. Like his assist rates up, his turnover rates down. Like that, and that matters for someone that is primarily out there because of his offensive abilities to just like he's the possessions he's valuing possessions more. Like that's a big deal. I think his scoring rate is like per 100 it's up, or per 36 minutes it's up a little bit. Hasn't been as efficient this year, even though he's shooting more threes, which helps. To me, I don't know. I guess I'm less in on the idea of him being like a functional defender long term, but like the guy's a bucket. I'm not gonna knock him. So you mentioned Avdia. That's definitely
Oh,
like I think he
so
was
you want to
like,
see, you want to
toughest to mention.
hear, let me see if I can do this in 1 minute, give you just the list of names that don't appear on my ballot that I did consider for this award. Is that a no?
No, yeah, I thought you were just gonna go for it.
So Jalen Johnson, already mentioned him. Obviously, I had Derek White on there, someone I
Yeah.
considered. Um, I had, I also had Io DeSunmu from Chicago, in addition to having Kobe White on there. I had Max Strus from Cleveland. I also had Isaac Okoro from Cleveland. I think you could have made a case for in Denver, Peyton Watson, just like off the low baseline that he was kind of working from. Cade Cunningham in Detroit is another name that I gave serious consideration to.
Did you
Uh,
have Halliburton?
I did for Indy, yeah, I did think about him. I also thought about Aaron Nesmith as
Yeah,
well from
yeah.
Indy. Golden State, I did have Kuminga. The Clippers, did I have anyone from? No, I don't have anyone jotted down from the Clippers. The Lakers, I think D'Angelo Russell had like a small case. Austin Reeves might have had some semblance of a case, but I didn't give them too much consideration. I did not have anyone from the Grizzlies on there. We know I had Duncan Robinson from the Heat, ended up there. Didn't have anyone from Milwaukee. In Minnesota, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Naz Reid. Those are two guys that I think you could
Mhm.
make the case for as well. In New Orleans, there's Herb Jones. Definitely deserves like an honorable mention shout out in this discussion. In New York, Jalen Brunson, for sure. I think
Yeah.
like that's someone. Isaiah Hartenstein, Dante DiVincenzo, just the way the pressure he's able to put on defenses with his shooting now. In OKC, I think SGA has another case. He was my pick
Yeah.
last year, but he has a case again. There's J Dub there as well. Orlando, I think Jalen Suggs. I
Mhm.
really thought about putting him on my ballot. I think I mentioned that before. Tyrese Maxey in Philly for sure. No, is there anybody in Phoenix? Grayson Allen. I think he improved enough defensively and as a shooter. Nobody from Portland. Sacramento, Keegan Murray, second year player type guy. Keon Ellis certainly obviously deserves mention there. I did have Devin Vassell from San Antonio. I know you were kind of disappointed in
You
his
know, I did
season.
look at his numbers though again after we talked about that, and he has gotten meaningfully better, kind of like across the board. Yeah, so
Yeah,
I think
that's
that's
because he's a future Hall of Famer. But
right.
anyway, Scotty Barnes in Toronto definitely deserves some mention. And I guess you could kind of throw, like, if you wanted to, RJ Barrett, before he was dealing with the personal issues, the way he was playing in Toronto
Mhm.
versus New York. And then Denny Avdia in Washington made a great deal. Was there anyone on Utah? I guess just Jordan Clarkson because of his passing, or I don't, Colin
John
Sexton doesn't
Collins
deserve
is
most
okay
improved
again.
player love, but what'd you
John
say?
Collins isn't terrible anymore. That helps.
And then Colin Sexton, just like, I don't know if that's most improved player type love, but
Like
he just had a hell of a season.
back to peak Cavs, Colin Sexton.
The audience though,
Oh yeah, what
who
do we
did
got
who
here?
did they have here? Their ballot is more reflective of yours, by the way, I think for the most part. But they had Kobe White at number 1, Tyrese Maxey at number 2, J Dub at number 3, Alperen Şengün at number 4, and SGA at number 5. So they actually subscribed to that idea that I think he could deserve some love in there. Also receiving votes from them, Jalen Brunson was on the ballot. There was Duncan Robinson appeared there too. Grayson Allen actually got multiple votes. Tyrese Halliburton was there. Herb Jones got some love. Jalen Johnson, by the way, would have finished in the top 5 of the audience ballot, but he just didn't meet the criteria, so I didn't
Yeah.
want to throw him on there.
Yeah, I think that's pretty thorough. I mean, this one I think warranted the most discussion because it's so hard to like. There's so many different
There's
ways to
I'm
be.
not sure that I've ever deviated from the betting favorite this late in the season.
No, I keep thinking about that too. It's like, and I want to look for reasons to have Maxi higher, but I just can't get there.
I'm very interested to see how it pans out. Do you think he ends up winning it?
I think he is going to win it. I think he's like, I don't know what actually I do have it right here. As of today, he's minus 340. Kobe White's second at plus 230. J Dub is like way out, and then Kaminga is fourth with like no chance
What
at
is
all.
J Dub's odds? Maybe you should throw like a $5 on.
Plus 4,000. Um, Yeah, it just seems like Maxi's going to get it. I think Maxi like came into the year with the momentum for most improved, and then just that never changed.